Greetings, my name is Tingwei Lee, and I will be discussing my journey as a graphic designer. My story as a graphic designer is one parallel with my activities as a student of Boston Latin School, the very school that nourished minds like Emerson and Thoreau. Throughout my presentation, you will hear about my formative experiences chronologically and commentaries on my own works in the process. I started out like everybody else when attempting to pick up a new skill, mediocre at best and probably ready to give up at a moment's notice. In fact, I did my first design on a whim at Catapulta, my school science magazine, during my freshman year. I had never used any design software before Catapulta, and it seemed quite exciting at the beginning, as does most things. Admittedly, I found myself lacking the motivation to continue creating design content for Catapulta. I felt like I did not belong in this area of work, my own art skills leaves much to be desired, and it was so frustrating when my efforts were wasted to the point that I wanted to quit. But my friends in Catapulta convinced me to stay on board as an assistant and later head layout editor. As I continued to improve upon my designs, another club I was involved in had an opening for an editor position, the Junior Classical League. I applied, got the position, and revamped the layout and content by creating a magazine-esque layout by myself. This was the first time I had full reign as a rising junior at this point of designing a publication. Everything seemed to be going well until I lost the nomination for the candidacy of editor in the state level of the Junior Classical League. I lost on the tiebreaker for a position against a friend. Needless to say, I took it hard, but I still carried on, albeit with my confidence completely shattered. However, one of my friends was successfully elected as state technical coordinator, who was responsible for managing the state JCL website. For his campaign, I created this brochure. His favorite color is blue, which I used extensively throughout, and added coloring themes to match with this color scheme. The color coordination for the brochure, I might note, was particularly important in making the brochure look good. My failure politically, as I also failed to be elected president of my school's JCL, discouraged me from seeking any more positions. I found out at JCL's national convention that I lost the publications contest by 1/10 of a point, of which I was left particularly devastated. I only returned to office after my friend who became president at this point tapped me into managing my school's JCL website. My painful experiences during my junior year drastically changed my design style. I used to rely heavily on gimmicky and extraneous content in my designs, but I started to focus on balance and structure in graphic designing, especially after I was appointed layout editor-in-chief of my school's art and literary magazine, The Register, which had a minimalist design. It was during my junior year that I found myself in the hodgepodge of successes and failures. I won some battles, particularly in the political arena as the highest scoring individual on ancient geography nationally and in leadership roles of school publications. I lost many more, of course, to my chagrin. If my junior year was to be described as my honors horribilis, then my senior year is my honors mirabilis. My senior year was so much better than my junior year in many respects, besides the dread of the college apps, of course. I finally managed to sweep nationally on various contests, first on the website I created, first on a scrapbook I made documenting my school's experiences, and first in Latin Quizbo. However, my senior year was also a time that I created most of my best work. In what I consider to be my magnum opus, this tribute to Stephen Hawking during my senior year was perhaps the work I struggled on the most. I was emotionally invested and attached to the graphic design of this because my interest in learning sparked first in astronomy and physics, and this meant I could not find closure until I finished my design. In creating Stephen Hawking's tribute, I considered various astrophysical concepts to incorporate into the design. The swirling dots represents a distortion of matter encompassing a circle that is supposed to represent a black hole. The center is clockwise from the bottom right, represents the 4 dimensions of space-time in a loop, satisfying my cycle of perfectionist tendencies. Astronomical topics were something I loved designing during my tenure in Catapulta, and what I considered to be a close second to the Stephen Hawking tribute. And this layout design, as you see here, followed many of the same principles of the Hawking layout. However, for this design, I took advantage of the background to enhance my design. As my time in high school came to an end, I was nervous of what was at stake for me in college. My roller coaster experiences with my activities coincided with my growth as a graphic designer. As such, it is very hard for me to detach myself from these activities and my graphic experiences in its worst and in its best, which is why I decided to include many of these anecdotes on my club experiences. Taking my high school experiences with me to heart, I am here now in college, sharing my story and continuing to do my designs that I have done since I was in high school. One of my proudest experiences to date in college is revamping the design and layout of the pre-law review, and I have more in store as my journey of a graphic designer continues. To finish off, I want to give a few pieces of advice to any aspiring graphic designers out there. Create with consideration for the subject matter. Follow general rules of proportion and symmetry. Continue honing your skills as you will be your greatest critic. But most importantly, make sure to experiment, try something new, and be satisfied with your own work.